Hello everyone, and welcome once more to Miss T.L.L English First Additional Language Lessons here. And then today we are going to jump straight to paper 3 and check transactional writing, writing of an email. I must also remind you that bear in mind that paper 3 carries the bulk of the marks, so it's important that you master all the transactional writings from your shorter transactional to your longer transactional as well as your essays. It's important to understand the format, the structure, the content, and the language required to master that particular transactional writing. Not forgetting to adhere or adherence to the required number of words per section. You must be knowing now, or you should expose yourself to adhering to the required number of words for shorter transactional, be it as a home language or FAL. You should be knowing that if they say write a diary entry, is it between 80 to 100 words, or write a letter, is it 150 to 180 words, so that when you now work towards final examination, it's in your system already to adhere to the required number of words. Because what happens is that if you exceed the required number of words, whatever that comes after the required number of words is disregarded and not marked. So you cannot afford to forfeit marks or to run the risk of losing marks by having content that is rich but however that exceeds the required number of words. And today we are going to now look into writing of an email. What is important in paper 3, like I've said, let me just reiterate what I've said in my introduction, that is to master the format. The format simply speaks to the structure, right? A letter cannot be the same as an email cannot be the same as an obituary, right? Is to master the structure and the format, okay? And then also what is important now is to master the content. Whom am I addressing here? What is that I need to communicate here? So what is important is to know who, which is your audience, and then what, which is the message that you are communicating. These two will ultimately determine the tone plus register, which refers to the language that you are going to use to communicate the message. Are you writing to a friend where you can be a bit colloquial or use a bit of a slang? Or are you communicating a message in a professional setup where you need to sound more professional? And how are we going to know that you are sounding professional? We look at the choice of words as well as your diction, right? And then also now, once you have mastered audience and the message, remember, where are you going to get your audience and the message? From the question itself, right? That is where the planning comes into play. There's no way that you can win in writing if you are lazy to follow all the steps of process writing. Those steps are quite essential. They are there for a purpose, because remember, writing, for you to hone the correct writing skills, or to develop the correct writing skills, is to follow the process writing steps. Because once you start with planning, you have these concepts as your skeleton, and then now in your mind map you fill in the skeleton with meat to say, who am I addressing? I will say a professor. What is the message about? You look into the question. Are you writing to resign? Are you writing to apply? Are you writing to inquire about something? And then the language that you are going to use, and then that's where now you can have your first draft. And then after your first draft, it's important to proofread. Proofreading your work is very much important, right? Because this is not our mother tongue. It's very easy to commit commit language errors, but once you proofread, you are able to pick up the errors yourself before you can translate that piece into a final version, right? And then you look into your language structure and convention, your punctuation, the use and command of language, the use of capital letters where needed or where appropriate is also quite important. Now let us look into writing of an email. Email stands for electronic mail. What we learn in paper 3 is we learn the structure and format of an email. But in most cases, an email is written using electronic devices like your phone, your laptops, and so forth. It is the easiest and cheapest way of communication. It is used in formal, semi-formal, as well as informal way of expressing or of expression or writing. The same way as we have formal letter, informal letter, it cuts across also to your email. An email can be formal, an email can be informal, depending on the question, whether the examiner wants you to address maybe a professor or to write an email to a friend. If you write an email to a friend, it can be a semi-informal email. Now let us look into the structure of an email so that you know when you are required or requested to write an email, what is that you need to, or how rather you need to write an email. You start with from, to, CC, BCC, subject, greetings, main body, closing. Now from, you can't just state your name. We say Thabo or Susan. We need to have what you call an email address. An email address, so that I know that you are writing an email. We've got a postal address, residential address, those we use when we write letters. Though I can say now kopano@gmail.com. We've got different kinds of emails, or you can say kopano1@ymail.co.za. So from I must pick up that this is an email, right? The Gmail is the Google account, and then the Ymail is the Yahoo account. You can have emails in different ways. Others end with .com, others end with .co.za. And then to, it means the person that you are sending or writing the email to. Also here, it must be an email address. And I would say, depending on the question, become very much creative. If let's say you are writing an email to a manager at HR manager at the mine, you can say HR manager at bizomine.co.za. You become creative. Now once I see this email address, I can see that you have deduced this email address from the question to say write an email to a human resource manager at the particular mine. So you didn't just say Kabelo@ymail.com, because if you say Kabelo@ymail.com, it sounds as if you are still sending that email to a friend. So become creative depending on the nature of the question that the examiner will use in that particular question paper. Now we have CC, which is carbon copy, so not carbon paper. I'm so sorry, carbon copy. Carbon copy, what does it refer to? It means if you are writing an email to this HR manager, however, you also want maybe the clerk to read or the administrator to also view, if not read, the very same email, then you CC that person by including another email address here. So it means that you are actually not sending an email to a certain individual, but you have copied another person, so that the two of them, if not the three of them, depending on the number of people that you want them to read the same email. And then I must also note that this CC, it is how optional. Remember, creative writing, we are just using language to become creative. Okay, so this is optional. You can have CC or BCC where you want to even add more individuals to read. That is when you want to send what they call block emails. Block emails, it means that maybe I'm a teacher, then I want to send the same email to 49 of my learners, then I can send them block email, carbon copying and BCCing all the other emails. And this is also what optional. And then you must also have a subject. Remember, just in when I was doing a letter, to say a subject is a short line, short sentence that states the purpose of the email. You remember when you write an email, there's no way that you can write an email without a subject, because how would the person know what is the what kind of an email is that, or what is the email about. At times that's why people end up not reading your emails, because you did not attach the subject, right? If maybe let's say you are inquiring about bursary, you can say bursary inquiry. Then the person who's going to read this email or open this email, they will know that the contents of the email will be centered around your inquiries about bursaries. And then you are done. It means that you are done with the top part, which is the to email address, which indicate who is writing this email, to whom this email is addressed to, who is also CC'd in this email. Optional, and then the subject must always be there. All right, if it's a letter of resignation, you state resignation letter in your subject, so that the manager can see that this letter contains a resignation letter. And then you start with your greetings, just like in your letter. You start with your greetings and salutation at dear manager, or dear sir or madam. And then you have your main body, and then you have closing, and then you can also have attachment. Attachment, that's when you can attach documents. For example, if you are writing an email resigning, you can state the reasons as to why you are resigning in your body, but also you can further attach a letter of resignation. So, or you can attach any other documents depending on what is that you are sending. Now, an email used to be a shorter transactional text. It's no longer a shorter transactional text. It's now a longer transactional text. So it means that you should be having roughly 2 paragraphs and 1 shorter paragraph that closes the email, and then between 150 to 180 words, if I'm not mistaken, for a longer transactional text. So let us have an example. You already have your to from subject CC, like I've shown you. Then say dear sir. Now, this individual was sending an email to resign. Please accept this email as a notice that I'm resigning from my position as a hotel manager. As per company policy, I have to give a month's notice before resigning. I hope you will get a good replacement for me with this time period. And you look into the language that is being used there. It's a very polite language. It's a very professional language. There is no use of a jargon or slang or even contractions. Please refrain from using contractions, especially when you are writing for formal settings or professional settings. Even in your essay, don't say can't, don't say don't, rather say do not, cannot, right? Avoid the use of contractions by all means. I really appreciate the opportunity that were given to me. It has been an enriching experience to be associated with professionals of such high caliber. And you also look at the punctuation. Where the idea ends, there's a full stop. You don't have like a very complex long sentences. Remember, bear in mind that when you are writing, it's not all about communicating the message, but also the technicalities in as far as punctuation is concerned plays a major role as to how the message is conveyed. During my 5-year stay at Sun City Cabanas, I have progressed from the position of a filing clerk to that of a hotel manager. I have now been offered a higher position in London, which was difficult to turn down, right? And then kindly advise on the administrative processes that needs to be taken care of during the course of my final month with the with the company. And pardon me, I would like to wish you and the company all the best in the future. Yours faithfully. Why yours faithfully? It means that this person is familiar with the person that he is sending this email to. Hence, you say yours faithfully. If you were sending it to a stranger, someone you're not familiar with, it was going to be yours sincerely. Or an alternative way of ending is say kind regards. And then, of course, underneath there, you can have your initials and surname. Now, when you look into the body, this person stated the result as to the reasons as to why they are resigning. And then towards the end, one must be able to see that your email is ending by also having that one closing line. I hope that my email will be adhered to. Looking forward to for your response. I hopefully I hope I'm hopeful that I will hear from you soon. You must always have this closing sentence to show that sums up your email, and it shows that your email is ending. And then repetition again, if I were to repeat, and yours faithfully, because this person has been working there, he knows the manager is yours faithfully. If you are writing maybe to a professor who doesn't know you, you say yours sincerely, or alternatively, the best way of ending it is to say kind regards. So this is the structure and format of writing an email. Please practice it. Use previous question paper to look into a particular question, and then follow the various steps that I've just stated here, by knowing what is that you have to write about the message, whom are you addressing, using the correct format and structure, where you start with stating your email address, from email address, CC, that is optional if you want to add another email address, and then the subject line is always important. An email must have a subject line, and then you divide your ideas into paragraphs, and then you must have also a closing line that sums up your email. And that is how you write an email. I hope this will be fruitful to you as you prepare to write paper 3 towards I would say prep exam, or it can also be activities in class. Practice writing, because writing needs to be practiced so that you understand the format, structure, as well as the content required for that particular writing piece. Not forgetting adherence to the required number of words. Also not forgetting proofreading, checking the use and command of language, to edit your sentence construction, and also to take note of punctuation, avoiding complex sentences, and where the end sentence or the idea ends, you put a full stop, then you start another sentence. And where possible, if you want to explain further, you use logical connectors, like I've said in one of my previous videos, like using the words such as additionally, subsequently, furthermore, if you still want to explain more on something. Thank you so much. I hope this will be fruitful. Continue to subscribe, like the video, and share the link.